and basically that was the last confirmation from between the NASA team and the SpaceX team to say that we were good to go. And
go ahead.
And next milestone you hear coming up would be the stage 1 LOX load complete, and that's basically topping off the oxidizer tank on the stage 1. And that should be coming up here shortly.
And you can see a little bit better on your screen now that the
stage 1 LOX load complete.
Yep, just heard that confirmation. So the stage 1 is completely topped off of fuel and oxidizer. So we're looking good on stage 1 right now. And shortly coming up, you'll hear them topping off the stage 2 tank.
There's a wider view now of the transporter erector. You can see that recline. And as we get into those final seconds before liftoff, we will see that recline even further, all the way to 45 degrees just before liftoff, clearing the way for DART to take flight.
Yeah, and as you see, the strong back is tilted back a little bit. You can see some cables that are still connected to the Falcon 9. Those are the umbilicals that are still providing power and fluids to the Falcon 9. And at liftoff, they will disconnect, and the strong back will move even further out of the way and to give it a nice clearance when it takes off.
We'll have a series of rapid events after liftoff that will guide you through with that progress bar. And Falcon 9 will have 2 burns for this mission.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
We just got that confirmation of stage 2 LOX load complete. At this point in time, all of the propellants have been loaded onto the launch vehicle, and everything's looking good.
And in the meantime, the SpaceX drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, is standing by in the Pacific Ocean, ready to receive the first stage booster that will be landing a little more than 9 minutes after liftoff on the drone ship. We don't expect to hear sonic booms here on land because it's coming down in the Pacific Ocean. So if you were here for Sentinel-6, you probably heard a couple of sonic booms. That was because the booster was landing on land. Not the case this time.
Yeah, it would be awesome to hear it, though. It's
Falcon 9's in startup.
It's awesome to see. We just heard a call out that this Falcon 9 is in startup. That means it's going through its startup sequences. The flight computer is taking over, and it's going through its process.
Falcon 9, DART, go for launch.
We just heard that final call that Falcon 9 and DART are go for launch. T-minus 35 seconds and counting.
T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 20 seconds.
T-minus 15. 10.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of the Falcon 9 and DART on NASA's first planetary defense test to intentionally crash into an asteroid.
So we're getting a nice view of the onboard cameras from the Falcon 9. So you can see it looking towards the aft end of the first stage. And you can see those engines coming to life.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
And Falcon 9 will be reaching max Q in just seconds, the moment of peak mechanical stress on the rocket.
And here in the Mission Data Center, we can feel the rumble from the Falcon 9, and it's always amazing to hear and feel.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Everything looking good right now. It's really shaking the building where we are.
Vehicle supersonic.
Just heard that call out for supersonic. Going faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
And we've just passed max Q, that moment of peak mechanical stress on Falcon 9.
And everything's looking good. We're still getting some nice views of the onboard Falcon 9 camera. And we should be coming up on main engine shut off here in about a minute. So far, everything's looking good. All reports are nominal.
Invec chill has started.
We just heard the call off NVAC chill, so that's where it's getting ready to prepare second stage for engine ignition.
Now that main engine cutoff, or MECO, we expect at T plus 2 minutes 30 seconds, and then almost immediately after that, the first and second stage of Falcon 9 will separate, followed by the stage 2 first ignition, and then shortly thereafter, the jettison fairing at about T plus 3 minutes 8 seconds. So far, nominal liftoff.
And as if you notice, the plume or the flame coming from the engines have gotten bigger. That means it's high in the atmosphere, where the atmosphere isn't compressing the flames coming from the launch vehicle.
MECO.
Okay, we just heard that.
Separation confirmed.
Invec ignition.
So we just got confirmation of MECO, stage separation, and stage 2 ignition.
And so this is a view of the stage 1 Falcon 9 booster. You can see those hypersonic grid fins beginning to extend. The shot is a little bit dark, but you can see them extended out from the base
Bearing separation confirmed.
of the booster. And we just heard confirmation that the jettison fairing is complete. And those hypersonic grid fins help guide the Falcon 9 booster back down towards Earth. Again, it's heading towards the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship.
Stage 2 on nominal trajectory.
So we just heard everything's looking good for stage 2. You heard the positive confirmation of fairing jettison. And the Falcon 9 booster will be coming back. They'll be doing 2 burns. They'll be doing a boost back burn to get it closer to the Of Course I Still Love You, that's sitting about 400 miles south of where we are, off the coast of Baja, California. And then they'll do another burn when it's coming in for the landing.
We're at T plus 4 minutes 6 seconds, and so far nominal ascent of the DART mission, NASA's first planetary defense test. Falcon 9 booster will begin its re-entry burn in a little over 3 minutes.
So far, everything's looking great. And that's exactly what we wanted to hear. It was awesome to hear it and feel a launch while we're sitting here in the Mission Data Center.
Yeah, that rumble never gets old.
Yeah.
And hard to believe in about 11 months from now that DART spacecraft the size of a vending machine is going to
Mid-flight guidance.
crash head-on into Dimorphos at the speed of 15,000 miles per hour.
Yeah. And as we were talking about before, how fast is 15,000 miles an hour? I mean, it's like going from New York City to Los Angeles in less than a blink of an eye. So faster than you could blink, you travel across the country. So right now we're getting a good video that's looking at the interstage.
We're obviously having some technical issues with some of our video feeds.
Stage 2 on nominal trajectory.
Trying to get those feeds, get those kinks worked out so we can get those views back for you. But in the meantime, we will continue to talk you through everything that we're hearing. We can't see those views, but we are hearing that everything is nominal and on track.
Yeah. And as you heard before, it may be difficult sometimes to get the video from the stage 1 landing. It's coming in very fast, and sometimes it's hard to get that video.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's okay. We can see, and we see a view there. It's just very dark out.
Okay, so look like we're getting some good video.
Stage 1, FTS is safe.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
All right. All right, so we got stage 1 coming in.
Now you've got a better look at those grid fins.
It's always amazing to see stage 1 coming back in for a landing.
Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
All right. So
Okay, we've got a beautiful shot of stage 2 now.
Stage 2, FTS is safe.
Terminal guidance.
what we're looking at is the nozzle of stage 2, and you see it glowing hot.
Loss of signal, cook.
At this point in time, everything's looking nominal.
And what you're seeing is that MVAC engine on the Falcon 9 second stage glowing red hot, and we just heard that engine shut down.
So stage 2 just completed its first burn of the first of 2 burns. So the first burn of second stage is helping to circularize the orbit after the launch vehicle has gotten off of
Stage 1, landing burn
the surface of the Earth. And then there's a second burn that'll be coming up. But right now, we are getting the landing burn from stage 1. It's coming in for his landing. Looks like we're getting some good video.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
You can see this. You can see the drone ship. The landing legs are out. All right, so we're back. We're getting another view of stage 2 during its coast. And we just heard positive confirmation of stage 1 landing.
Yeah, it's tricky to maintain that feed from the drone ship at the moment of landing, but we do have confirmation that the first stage booster has landed safely and successfully on the Of Course I Still Love You off the coast of Baja, California. And so now we are in the first coast phase of the Falcon 9 second stage, of course, still attached to the DART spacecraft. So it's going to be coasting for the next 20 minutes or so, give or take, and then second burn will get started. So we're going to keep an ear on things. But for now, we want to learn a little bit more about DART's mission. And to kick us off, we want to hear from the director of a new Hollywood movie about a cataclysmic comet.
I heard there's an asteroid. Tell me about it.
Hi, I'm Adam McKay, director of Don't Look Up. Our movie is about 3 scientists who tried desperately to warn the planet of an impending doomsday comet and are ignored. Our movie's made up. It's a comedy. But in fact, the brilliant scientists at NASA are actually launching a mission. It's called DART, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. And what they're going to test is, can you send up a mission that can deflect an asteroid and steer it away from Earth if, God forbid, something like that were ever to happen? Remember to keep an eye out for it. It's going to be spectacular.
Thanks to Adam McKay of the soon-to-be-released science fiction comedy Don't Look Up. Folks, we are back inside the NASA hangar, and though the movie is not real, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, is real, and we are ready to show you every aspect of this mission with the experts who know. So welcome back, everyone. I'm Daryl Nail, and with me is Kelly Fass, program scientist with the Planetary Defense Coordination Office. We hope you really enjoyed watching the launch. I know Kelly did, because as it was going up, you were going, go, go, pumping your fists.
That was so exciting to hear the rumble of the rocket noise come through the hangar here. But then just, again, being so excited for the team that has worked so hard on this. I know they are partying it up wherever they're watching from. And so I'm so excited for them.
Yes, especially that launch viewing location out there. I heard that it was a fantastic view. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty neat to see, at least the first part of the landing where it was coming down, illuminated the ship. But even more so to see that DART spacecraft and the fairing come out. There it is, going to space.
Oh, I know we're not out of the woods yet. We still got to get that all the way out to Dimorphos, but this is a huge step along the way.
Absolutely. That is very important, because there is a lot more work to do to get this. And of course, we're going to be tracking all of that. Going back to that movie trailer, Hollywood's always had fun with asteroids and, ending the Earth with one of them. But the movie's called Don't Look Up, but really, you're kind of evidence that we're looking up more now than ever.
I like that Adam McKay kind of put it into context that it's fiction, it's a comedy, but in the real world, there's a lot of work going on with a lot of scientists looking for near-Earth asteroids, getting them cataloged. There's an international asteroid warning network. There's astronomers around the world doing this, and it's a big focus at NASA. And so it's the only natural disaster that we could prevent, an asteroid impact. And so why not use your capabilities to look, to the extent that you can, rack those up, and then do something like DART, so that you've got a tool in the toolbox there.
Absolutely. And there's so much more to talk about. There are other ways, I've heard, that we could do this. This is one we're testing. We'll talk to Lori Glaze about that. And then we'll also have your close approach demonstration, which we're really looking forward to. So that's coming up in just a bit. So in the next hour, we are going to tell you everything you ever wanted to know about asteroids and break down the DART mission from A to Z. And we're going to start with an overview of this mission.
In case there was an asteroid coming towards Earth and you're there, you can actually stop it. I mean, that's kind of fantastic.
NASA is crashing a spacecraft into an asteroid.
What? You think science fiction, but this is real. Never in my life would I have thought I would take a couple $100 million spacecraft and crash it into an asteroid. My name is Michelle Chen.
I'm Lena Adams.
My name is Kelly Fast.
I'm Andy Rifkin.
I'm Justina Sorovitz, and I help tell the story of the DART mission.
I'm a planetary defender.
And I study how the orbits of asteroids change after we hit them with spacecraft.
My job was primarily to make sure all the systems on the spacecraft work together.
The DART mission is NASA's first test of a planetary defense technique called kinetic impactor.
DART is the double asteroid redirection test.
It's just a spacecraft that is going to go and smack an asteroid.
The moonlift Dimorphos, which orbits the asteroid Didymos.
And see if we can change its trajectory just a little bit.
In order to show that we can deflect incoming asteroids if we need to.
DART will only be changing the period of the orbit of Dimorphos by a tiny amount.
But in space, just a little bit is just enough to make an asteroid actually miss us.
In the event that an asteroid is discovered well ahead of time before it might impact Earth.
Behind me, you see the spacecraft.
It's really cool to see it coming together in real life.
It is fantastic to see it in real life.
To see it turn from ideas into real pieces that are going to go into space.
The solar arrays will actually roll out to 28 feet in length.
Once the solar arrays are deployed, it's going to be the size of a school bus. As the solar array opens out, it's going to swing out in this direction. The asteroid's only 2 football fields in size.
We're flying at over 6 kilometers a second.
30 days out, we see 1 pixel on our field of view.
You can see Didymos and Dimorphos as 1 point of light.
About 4 hours out, our spacecraft becomes autonomous.
And then that's where everything gets really exciting.
You actually are seeing impact.
We're super excited and nervous as well.
I feel really honored and humbled to be working in an area of science that has such a broader impact, figuratively and literally.
So dark. The dinosaurs are made completely extinct by an asteroid impact so many years ago. Here we are. We can actually do something about it. I think this is just wonderful.
And as was mentioned in there, this is the first planetary defense mission. And this is your office we're talking about, Kelly. So for the audience out there that doesn't understand or hasn't heard of this before, what is the Planetary Defense Coordination Office? What do you do?
Well, right. Well, NASA's actually been working on near-Earth asteroid research since 1998, so this has been going on a long time. But in 2016, it was really formalized more in the creation of this Planetary Defense Coordination Office, which is in the Planetary Science Division at NASA headquarters. And it takes that legacy near-Earth object observations program, all the, the finding them part of the program, and then combines that with these other activities like DART, like the development of the Near-Earth Object Surveyor Space Telescope, like our interagency collaborations like we saw with FEMA there, our international collaborations, and formalizing all of that and leading the Planetary Defense Coordination Office. Lindley Johnson, we say he's got the coolest title in the solar system as NASA's Planetary Defense Officer.
All right, and he sure does. I enjoy listening to him in that interview earlier. Now, throughout the show, we will be taking the most popular questions NASA gets about asteroids and posing them to experts like Kelly. This next question is for NASA expert Marina Brozovic. When was the last time an asteroid hit Earth?
Well, the answer depends on whether you're asking about small or large impacts, because Earth gets hit all the time. But luckily for us, the vast majority of these impactors are small, and they just burn in the atmosphere. The most significant fireball event in over 100 years occurred over Russia in 2015. We actually got hit by an asteroid that was the size of a small building, and that one disintegrated about 20 kilometers above the city of Chelyabinsk. And it deposited a fair number of meteorites on the ground. And I happen to have a piece of that Chelyabinsk impactor right here in my hand. But what about big impacts? The ones that leave craters tens of kilometers wide and cause huge amount of devastation. We have to go far back in time for such an event. And those old craters are not easy to spot, because by now they're heavily eroded, they're filled with sediment, or they can be at the bottom of the ocean. But to keep the long story short, small impacts, they happen all the time, especially given that about 15,000 tons of space dust hit Earth every year. And large impacts are rare, and we're talking millions of years rare. So when was the last time an asteroid hit Earth? Probably today, but the odds are it was very small and just burned in the atmosphere.
The binary asteroid system DART is taking aim at was chosen for many reasons. Let's join Raquel Villanueva with a special guest to explain that. But first, Raquel, you saw the launch in person live. What was that like?
Ooh, it was chilly with lots of excitement and lots of cheers, lots of fun. And I am here with DART program scientist Tom Statler to talk about the double asteroid mission. Like, what did you think of launch, Tom?
Oh, Raquel, it was a beautiful, beautiful launch. Tremendously exciting.
Now, can you tell me why the asteroid was chosen?
Oh, well, a binary asteroid system, and the Didymos binary asteroid system, is the perfect natural laboratory for the double asteroid redirection test. For one thing, the larger asteroid makes sure that the smaller asteroid is held in orbit around it, so there's absolutely nothing that we can do that would make this asteroid a danger to the Earth. But more important, it's about the measurement. We need to be able to measure how efficiently DART deflects the asteroid, and we're using that binary orbit of the little asteroid around the big one to do that. We're going to change the period of that orbit by just a few minutes, and we're going to be able to measure the size of that change using telescopes on Earth in the weeks and months after impact and precisely determine exactly what it was we did.
Now, DART is called a kinetic impactor, which is intended to change the orbit of an asteroid. So what kind of mass and speed is needed to alter the orbit of this particular asteroid?
Well, the DART spacecraft weighs about 500 kilograms, which Andy Rivkin, one of the investigation team leads, said the other day is about the mass of a small cow, which is, I guess, true. And it's going to be impacting the asteroid at a speed of about 15,000 miles an hour. So at that speed, it covers the last 4 miles to impact in 1 second. Now, that's going to deliver enough of a push to the asteroid to change its motion by a fraction of a millimeter per second. But it is more than just the push of the spacecraft. It's also the energy released in that tremendous collision at 15,000 miles an hour.
Now we can envision the small cow. Now, really quickly, how do you measure success for this mission?
Well, success is, of course, first we want to execute the kinetic impact and strike the asteroid. But success is really being able to see the magnitude of that change. And at the end, when the observations are done a few months after impact, having that measurement and knowing exactly how efficiently we deflected the asteroid, and then later with additional data being able to put that in context and knowing what we might have to do for a similar asteroid or a different asteroid in the future if we ever do need to deflect one.
Tom, thank you so much for answering our questions today.
My pleasure, Raquel.
I'll send it back to Daryl.
Thank you, Raquel and Tom. And so now I have a clear picture of the size: vending machine, golf cart, and cow. That's great. Crystal clear now. Well, from time to time, you'll hear a report about an asteroid making a close approach to Earth. As my co-host Kelly Fast shows us, a simple demonstration with a basketball, an orange, and a tiny pebble can help us get a better understanding of what's a really close approach and what's not.
Well, and here we are.
Here we are, big open field.
We're just talking about how sometimes you hear about asteroids that pass close to the Earth, and maybe the news will say, oh, there's an asteroid passing 10 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. And
I think, whoa, man, that's close.
Well, yeah, it sure sounds like it, but what does that mean? And you found this basketball that looks like the Earth. And so we can do a scale model here. So if the Earth was that size, the Moon would be the size like of this orange. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it out to where the Moon would be if it were this size.
Oh, okay.
So here we go, probably about 25 feet, which I paced out earlier. So and so if the Earth were the size of a basketball, then the Moon would be out here. And so if an asteroid were passing like at 10 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon, it would be 10 times out that way.
Right. It would probably pass the building.
But on a cosmic scale, not that far. We still want to keep an eye on asteroids that could come this close. But as asteroids pass closer to the Earth, again, they're not impacting. As we get to maybe this distance, this is about like the distance of the weather satellites. That's really starting to get close. We don't want to get buzzed that close.
What do you have to show for the asteroid?
Well, if you had this type of a scale, an asteroid might be about, in fact, this is too big. This pebble is even too big to represent even the asteroid that took out the dinosaurs.
Really?
Yeah, it would probably be smaller than a grain of salt,
wow.
But we wouldn't be able to see it very well here.
So is this a close approach?
Yeah, we would call that a close approach, but it's not an impact, and so we're good. And this seems very small relative to the Earth. But it's the speed when they're going very fast. Like, if you've ever been at the beach, you get sandblasted when it's windy. Mm-hmm. It's the speed that added with that mass.
Can hurt. Yeah.
And so, and that's why you get craters on surfaces when they impact. Our atmosphere does a good job of protecting us, disrupting asteroids on the way in. But if they're large enough, then they can reach the surface and do even more damage. And so that's why you want to find them early. Then you could do something like the DART mission, where you could deflect that asteroid just a small amount, and then it would miss the Earth as you spun the solar system into the future.
Right. Well, can you take this little asteroid and go out there past the Moon?
Sure.
Because that just makes us feel better. Now it's way out.
Keeping where it should be out here.
I enjoyed that. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. I can't believe you found a basketball that looked like the Earth. That was perfect.
Specifically for this demonstration. Great job, Kelly. Most scientific spacecraft have lots of instruments on board, but for DART, there's only one. It's the camera on the front, and it's called Draco, or Didymos Reconnaissance and Asteroid Camera for Operational Navigation. For more about how this camera will help steer DART into the asteroid, let's go out to APL and Samson Rainey.
Hey, Daryl. Joining me right now is Tarek Daly, who is Draco's Deputy Instrument Scientist. First, Tarek, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that fantastic launch. It never gets old to watch a NASA launch, does it?
It's a stunning experience. Absolutely beautiful, Samson.
Congratulations on that first major step of the mission.
To the whole team.
All right, so I'm going to take us way out, to about a month before impact, say. Mm-hmm. And Draco is, first detecting that first speck of light that is in the blackness of space, and it's our target binary asteroid system, right? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what is going to happen with Draco at that moment up until impact? What is it going to do?
So Draco is the eyes of the spacecraft. The images Draco takes provide the data needed to guide the spacecraft to hit the asteroid. So beginning about 30 days out, we'll take images every few hours that get processed on the ground for optical navigation. We'll also measure how the brightness of the asteroid changes over a period of several hours, because that will tell us more about the relative sizes and shapes of the bodies. Things get really interesting about 4 hours before impact. That's when this spacecraft transitions to autonomous navigation. At this point, something called SmartNav takes over, which was developed here at Johns Hopkins APL, and the spacecraft now drives itself to the asteroid. The asteroid system at this point is less than a pixel across. It's actually not until an hour before impact that the camera can actually see the secondary asteroid, the moon, separately from the primary asteroid. And it's not even until just 20 seconds before impact that you can see things on the surface the size of the spacecraft. And all this navigation is happening using algorithms on board the spacecraft.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, we are looking forward to those pics when they come next year. So good luck on that, Tarek.
Thank you so much, Samson.
Tossing it back to you, Daryl.
All right, thank you, Samson and Tarek. The DART spacecraft is still flying through space, and we have an important flight operation happening in just a few minutes. So let's check in with Marie and Denton for the latest on that.
All right, thank you, Daryl and Kelly. We are getting ready for the second burn of the second stage of Falcon 9.
Yeah, and basically what this was happening here is after the coast, the engine going to fire up, and it's going to be a shorter burn, and this is basically going to give us the velocity to get out of Earth orbit and heading towards the Didymos system.
And so we expect that second burn to begin at T plus 28 minutes, 31 seconds. So we have a view there now of that is the Merlin MVAC engine on the Falcon 9 second stage. And that second ignition coming up in just a few seconds.
Yeah, and as we approach the ground station, we're getting better telemetry and video from the vehicle. And from there, you can kind of see the trajectory of where we are heading towards right now. Right now, we're near the southern tip of South America.
NVAC ignition.
And we just got confirmation of NVAC ignition. And you can see the video there. You can see the engine coming to life.
And so we are, right now, DART is near the southern tip of Chile, near the capital city of the area's southernmost region. And so this next burn lasts just under a minute, and then we expect to hear second cutoff at T plus 29 minutes, 27 seconds. So in just a few seconds now. You can see that MVAC engine glowing red hot during the second burn.
Everything's looking good.
NVAC shutdown.
And we just got confirmation of engine shutdown.
All right, so that was a pretty quick burn.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was just a short burn needed to give it that velocity so it can head towards the Didymos system.
Okay, so now we are in a coast phase again.
Nominal escape burn.
Okay, so confirmation, everything nominal. There is a view of the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship with the booster safely landed there. That is the third landing of this booster, so congratulations to SpaceX on yet another one. In the meantime, DART is in a coast phase with the second stage for about another 26 minutes or so. And during this coast phase, the spacecraft will fly over the South Pole. And by the time of spacecraft separation at roughly T plus 55, 56 minutes, DART will be near the southern tip of Madagascar. So we'll be continuing to keep an ear on things. So far, this has been a beautiful start to DART's journey. It's got 11 months roughly to make it to the Didymos system, where it will impact Dimorphos in late September or early October of 2022. For now, Daryl and Kelly. Actually, no, we are going to go over to NASA's Megan Cruz. She spoke to the Launch Services Program flight design expert about what it takes to design a trajectory as complex and as unique as this one in order to get DART to its very precise destination to impact that asteroid. So let's go over now to Megan Cruz.
Bill, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you're a flight design expert with NASA's Launch Services Program, and you lead the team who designed DART's flight path. Can you tell me about that flight path, and was it difficult to plot out?
Unlike a lot of missions where you have a single trajectory that's going to get you to some point in Earth orbit, we're designing a new set of targets for the launch vehicle to hit on every single day, up to 90 targets in this case. So a fair bit of trajectory analysis, a lot of computer time, and a lot of work by the combined team, both here at NASA LSP and our spacecraft partners at JPL and APL, and of course, SpaceX.
Mm-hmm. Why the instantaneous window and not the longer window we typically see for scientific missions?
When we talk about launch opportunity, that is actually like the number of days that we can launch. And when we talk about launch window, that is the amount of time on a particular day that we can launch. So given the fact that we had 90 days to potentially launch this mission, and the fact that SpaceX has a pretty good history of launching on the first or second day in the opportunity, we decided that it was more efficient and a better use of the limited resources that we all have to do these kinds of missions, to focus on having the best launch trajectory for each day. And if for whatever reason we weren't able to launch that day, we've got another day right behind it.
And why did you guys ultimately decide to launch from the central coast of California and not here in Florida?
Great question. Typically, for a lot of our interplanetary missions, the most important thing is to get as much energy out of the launch vehicle, and that's no different for DART. However, usually the best way to do that is to launch as close to the equator and on an easterly trajectory. So Kennedy Space Center or Cape Canaveral Space Force Station are the ideal locations for that. As it turns out, though, this particular outbound